"It's Lewis Hamilton. In Vale we went. He was a bit on the curb, but no time lost there. That was apparent from the wheel. Slight correction." 2 slight corrections as he attempted to apply. Hamilton didn't so much miss the podium as he was poised to miss it. On the face of things, an experienced driver mistreating mixed condition, lost grip, difficult timing, a car that simply did not stay together. But what transpired at turn 14, the snap, the slide, the recovery, was only half the story. The true tale was being played out behind the scene, hidden in the telemetry and couched in moments of strategic quiet. This was not merely a botched race. It was a deliberate series of choices and perhaps an encoded message delivered without a single voice raised. If you're here for lap-by-lap on-app analysis alone, if you want to know what the underlying game looked like behind what transpired at Silverstone, then subscribe. Because what occurred to Hamilton was not performance, it was about power. Because this wasn't technical failure alone, it was systemic. A configuration that delivered on speed, but at the expense of consistency. A design revision sold as advancement, constructed like a trap. Rear tire attempts increased outside of the optimal window. Brake bias changed mid-raw, and the balance slid just enough to be felt as an error, but perhaps not one. The SF25 did not fail by happenstance. It spurned him by design. When Hamilton called for assistance, Ferrari remained silent. No direction, no tweak. Merely radio silent. And a driver like Lewis doesn't suddenly lose the art of driving in mixed conditions. But when the car below him fights, when the team provides no solution, it's not about the track anymore. It's about trust. And in this instant, it was already fragmenting. The sign flashed early. By lap 28, Hamilton had the rear feeling shaky, snapping in an unpredictable manner. Ferrari just replied, "Copy." No advice, no change in strategy. The same kind of cold, otherworldly silence we witnessed back in Monaco 2022 when the right call disappeared and lost more than merely point. The SF25 was on a low downforce configuration, one that gave up ride height for outright speed. But rather than assist, it caused the car to struggle against the surface as if it didn't belong. So, who approved this? Did Lewis campaign for it? Or was he pushed into failing? The figures didn't deceive. His rear tires were wearing down 12% faster than LLA. Same tire compound, equal laps. That doesn't occur by chance. That implies the configuration wasn't merely poor, it wasn't designed to endure. And once a seasoned driver retires early and receives nothing in return, that's not an accident. It becomes intentional. Next came the bizarre flip. Midra, brake balance suddenly shifted forward by 1.9%. In F1 parlance, that's a gigantic adjustment, and it didn't make sense. Conditions didn't call for it. Hamilton did not ask for it, but it occurred. He appeared on the radio. It just doesn't have anything to do with it. He was not discussing minor matters. He was stating that the car was not listening. That is when it became serious. Ferrari systems are able to make automatic decisions, braking bias, energy deployment, tire response, but the team never clarified whether those systems were engaged. And after lap 21, internal information revealed Hamilton's manual override was lost. He couldn't make a thing. The car was operating on choices he hadn't made and perhaps didn't even know about. Who was really in charge then? By then, the race was already lost. The ideal undercut window passed and disappeared. Ferrari kept him 2 laps too long, clean air, and pulled ahead. Hamilton was dumped into traffic. They attributed it to GPS problems, but sector data was functioning. They already knew where the holes were, so why delay? Insiders maintain that simulations had indicated Hamilton's configuration as risky on a drying circuit. They already knew instability would increase, yet they kept quiet. No warning, no alteration, just a pick call at the absolute wrong moment. Too late to assist, too early to wait. It didn't feel like a mistake. It felt precise, because this wasn't just about time, it was about trust. If a team gives you enough support to look like they're helping, but not enough to change anything, doubt takes root. You don't just lose position, you lose confidence. Not in the car, but in the people behind it. And the SF25 was making its own statement. After pit stop, Sector 2 instability spiked almost 19%. That's not normal wear, that's rejection. The ride height was set too low for good airflow. Tires overheated, chassis couldn't breathe. Was that a real call by Lewis? Or did Ferrari quietly allow him to crash into a wall just so they could say, "We told you so," without ever actually saying it? Because that's precisely what they did. They allowed him to run the numbers, allowed the data to fail rather than to fight, allowed him to take the fall so that they didn't have to push him. The rumors in the garage made it apparent. He wanted it. We gave it. Then we watched. Not spite, not sabotage, just cold strategy. And once the race was over, it all fell into place. Baser stood before the cameras, unflappable and scripted. We had feedback problems, he claimed. But behind the scenes, there was no surprise. Everybody seemed to have a prior knowledge of what was going on, like it had been settled before the lights dimmed. The most pointed message came from Hamilton himself, and it wasn't on the radio. No debrief, no garage handshake, no eye contact, just a silent line. We're not building forward, we're looping. That wasn't about lap times. That was about leadership, direction control, because this race no longer became about performance. It became about power. Hamilton wasn't pushing just against the track. He was pushing against a system that didn't want to move, and instead of supporting him, Ferrari clipped his wings just when he was attempting to fly. The tail was twisted quickly. Brake bias, tire wear, driver mistake, but it all led back to him. On paper, he seemed to make the mistake, but behind the scenes, the team was already scripting that ending. Softly, consciously let him take the failure and guard the infrastructure behind. Now Hamilton can see it. This vehicle is not a device, it's a chessboard, and he's not the only one on the move. Each hush, each pit stop call, each configuration, it's all in play as part of a bigger game. And it has nothing to do with Silverstone. It's what after 2026 is looming. A new generation, new rule, new car. But from this race, Hamilton understands the true battle is not with Verstappen or Norris. It's with the walls closing in around him, with the screens behind the systems, with the silent decisions made in sim rooms and strategy sessions. Because this is no longer a car problem, it's cultural. The SF25 did not just break under pressure, it broke trust. When you're no longer feeling like a teammate and start to feel like a lab rat, the objectives shift. You no longer pursue victories. You begin to watch your back, and once trust is lost, it isn't fixed, it's replaced. The actual tension isn't out there on the track. It's in the data streams, in the quiet of the pit calls, in the unforgiving logic of coded choices. What went down at Silverstone was no accident. It was a preview of what's to come. So if you're still going around thinking this was just a crappy Sunday, think again. This wasn't bad luck. It was on purpose, strategic, cutting. Like, subscribe and join the revolution because the truth won't be televised.